Hello. How are we doing? Do you want some of that? No. Oh, you don't want to be refreshed? All right. You're so warm. Do you not want a cold shower? Hmm? You're just afraid of the owl water hose, aren't you? All right. How are you doing now? Martin from Gardens for Life in Birdland Homestead. Jesus, it is roasting today. I'm just in the greenhouse here, and it's roasting outside, but in here it's unreal because it's so dry. Look at that. Absolute dust. It's like the Dust Bowl here. So I've been watering this greenhouse using watering cans, and sometimes I use the bilge pump as well, but the bilge pump works best with 40 millimeters of piping and like a 40 millimeter diameter, which is this pipe here. It is way too big, and it's just a lot of water is going to come through. You get a lot of volume, and that's sometimes not very desirable, but the pressure is not very high. You can't really compress it as in through like a hose bip, or what's it called, you know, just to spray the water. Hang on, like this one here. So now I have a new solution, and it's just a different type of pump, also made by Seaflow, and it's just 12 volts, and I'll show you that over here. So we have these water tanks here. We caught that water last winter during the wet season. Well, our wet season was about 8 months long. So this is the pump, and all it is, there's a simple filter, and this water here gets pumped using this battery here. But it also turns off. It has an off switch when the pressure is on the hose. In other words, if it's turned off. But Jesus, it's going to make my life so much easier. Look at that. And you can hear the pump actually turns on. When I turn it off, the pump is gone. So as soon as the pressure drops on the hose, it turns back on. So hang on, I'm going to go around this way. Let me show you. It's good pressure with a half-inch hose. It's fine with a half-inch hose, but I tried it with a 3/4 inch hose, and it's way too thick. Unfortunately, the good hose is 3/4 of an inch thick, and I didn't invest in a good half-inch hose, so I ended up stuck with this, but it's fine as long as you don't kink it. Look at that. Completely automatic. Normally I don't water the plants at all, especially our gardens, which you see over here. Our no-dig and lasagna gardens don't need to be watered throughout the summer. However, these plants in pots always need attention. That's why I don't like to grow too many plants in pots now. Just a few, just to keep us bridged in case we want to start a new garden. Man, this is so much easier than using a watering can. All these plants need to go in. Right. The dogs don't really like to be sprayed with water. Funny enough, it's so hot out here. And there you go. The pump turned itself off again. How about that for an easy way to water the garden? It's a bit of an investment up front. Like the battery, you could probably spend €100 on a deep cell or deep cycle battery. That's I don't remember the technology. What's the name of it again? So the one I have there is an old-fashioned lead acid battery, but it's a dry cell, so it's actually sealed. So it can be left outside as well, but I wouldn't leave it in direct sunlight. You might put it into somewhere where it's sheltered from that. But the pump itself, it's pretty good. I've been using it for several years now, and I've been pumping an awful lot of water with it. However, it does run off 12 volts and it uses an awful lot of amps. So you want to make sure you have a battery that can handle the capacity. And I think it uses about 18 amps on 12 volts, so it is quite an umph of a battery that you would need. But with a deep cycle battery, you'll be fine. Oh, jeez, it's so warm. So again, that's the pump. It's a diaphragm pump, and that's the battery. It's just a PB. Well, let me know if you have any questions in the comments, or send us an email to contact@gardensforlife.ie. And if you'd like to support us, you can go to our Patreon page or our online shop or our members page. Thanks a million. We'll see you the next time. Bye bye. Just a quick tip. If you have a leak in your hose and your pump is actually connected, especially if it's at night time or whenever you're not in the garden, if there's a leak, it actually turn on and activate the pump if the pressure drops on the hose, and then the pump might actually pump out all of the water, especially if, say, for example, one of these connectors comes loose. So be careful when you're not in the garden or when you're not using it. I would turn off the pump, but just while you're watering, it's handy to be able to turn it off just by closing the bip. Isn't that what it's called? Hose bip. Anyway, see you next time. And now to water the driest place in County Roscommon. These figs here, they're growing. I think that's why we have so many figs, because they're not being watered very often here. Maybe like twice a year, maybe 3 or 4 times. But the soil in here has become hydrophobic, so it's not even taking in the moisture anymore. So we got to water it bit by bit. You can't just water it a lot in one spot because it'll just run off. There's actually a lemon verbena in here too, but the salt bush is towering it. It's kind of blocking it out. These are some different figs, different variety. I'm actually going to water the rest of the greenhouse too, because I'm going to be planting things in here eventually. There was some yacon and some, oh, looks like we've lost pressure. Let's check what happened. Let's check. Maybe it's a kink in the hose. And sure enough it is. Cheap hoses are a disaster. You can see how dry the soil is here, look. You'd really want to be watering this with like 1,000 litres of water. Just this middle section here. Hello Nina, you want a shower? Yeah, she doesn't mind it, but she doesn't really want one. Pretty warm in here now, about 30 degrees. Maybe a little bit more. These are the Madeira vine, and some of them have been exposed to the surface, so I'm going to be digging those into the ground again. Maybe plant them elsewhere. I'm going to water everywhere because eventually I'm going to be planting here, but I'm going to be putting down more compost, fresh compost first. I'm doing this in the evening time, so not as much of it evaporates. It's still a little bit early in the day to be watering this space, because a lot of the water might evaporate. Alright, I'm going to come through here. I think it's brilliant I think it's brilliant the way you can just turn off the pump. And that actually turns off the pump when you turn off the faucet, or when the pressure is equalized. It's our goji bush. It makes for pretty good tea for leaves. It's healthy, but the berries, there is no berries on these. Uh-oh. Now the top came off it. Oh well, we'll continue like this, so. The old-fashioned way, the way I used to do it when I was a child. Just put the thumb in front of the hose. After a while your thumb would be frozen off because you'd be using tap water. Sure, back then we wouldn't have known any better not to use tap water. Although over there they're not allowed to use fluoride and chlorine. Actually drinking quality water in Germany. I'm just going to water all this. Just to give the ground a chance to hydrate a little bit. And then when we come through here again, say maybe tomorrow, we'll water this every day for a couple of days. Or for a few days. And then it'll be a lot better when we put fresh compost on top. Now, just to show you the flow rate, it's pretty good. Actually here, might as well use the water. I mean, that's a good flow rate for a little 12 volt pump. No, this hose kinks very easily. Not a bad old flow rate. Alright. Oh, look who's going to visit. Oh, where are you? How are you doing? Did you cool down in the van? Mr. Fluffy Ears. What are you going to do now? They're just too warm to run now.